Hello everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Crafting. I am sorry it's so late. So we had an impromptu family day out today and we went to this 13th century barn, which was so cool. And then we went to a forest and went through like a walk through a forest, and that took about 3.5, 4 hours out of our day. So my crafting got put on hold while we did a little family outing, and it was loads of fun. So I can't say I regret it at all. We had a great time. But it meant that this video tonight is coming up 2 hours late. Maybe 3 by the time this is on. So tonight I wanted to play with these new fun dies and stamps from Made to Surprise by Sam Colcutt. These are really fun stamps and dies. So you get the stamp image, which you can color in, and a die cut that matches. So you can die cut out every single one of these cute little images. The sentiments don't seem to come with dies, but the images all do. So it's a really fun set, but I encourage you to look through your stash because I bet you anything, if you're like me, you've got a set of butterflies and matching dies. So use what you've got in your stash. All we want is a stamp that's got a nice outline that you can color in, and a die cut that will cut it out for you, or fussy cut. I hate fussy cutting with a passion, so dies are my best friend. So this is all from the Shutter Card collection. And I have got the Shutter Card dies, which I will be playing with. But I just thought these were so ridiculously cute and would make such good children's cards. Now, you saw these last night in my video. I wasn't going to use them, but I thought, actually, these will be perfect for this card. So these are like the accessory dies. I did a video last night with them and they are so much fun. I'm going to get my alcohol markers out and use these tonight along with my Memento ink pad. Although you'll see I kind of go through an up and down bit of which ink pad I'm going to use. So my card base to get started is 4 by 4 inches. So 8 inches long, folded in half to make 4 by 4. And I've gone ahead and cut 5 of them. There's 4 here, but I did cut a 5th one. And I've got a 3 1/4 by 3 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, which is going to be my insert for my message. And later in the video, you'll see that we're going to go ahead and cut a backing piece just to go under here where my finger's pointing. But I had intended originally to use a colored bit of card. So I was going to match the cardstock to my markers, but you'll see the trick I do instead. So getting started, I'm using my stamp platform because I'm thinking that's a good way to do it in case my ink doesn't ink up very nice. I'm not a fan of the Memento. It stinks. It's not as juicy usually. I'm not a big fan. So here I am stamping and then I realize my magnets are in the way. And it takes me a little while to work out the one on the top there is in the way as well. Then I realize my ink pad is actually quite dry. So I go ahead and juice it up with some more ink refill. And then re-ink those up, and they kind of get a bit messy at this point because I get a little bit too much ink on. But that middle one there at the top is just not stamping very nice. The stamp is absolutely fine. You'll see in a minute when I go ahead and stamp it, it's fine. I've got this bit of foam here. It's actually an insert for a different stamp platform. If you're ever struggling to get a clear image, get a piece of foam, stick it underneath, and stamp on top if you've got photopolymer or silicone stamps. It just makes it a little bit more squishy so you can apply a bit more firm pressure and get a nice clear image. So that's what I've done here is I've gone ahead and used that stamp on the foam and it works perfect. But I feel disappointed because this ink is just not as clear as my VersaFine Claire, or my VersaFine, here it is, my favorite black ink pad. The Memento just does not get as crisp. It is not as black. It almost looks like a really dark gray when you stamp it. And it was just really frustrating me. So I thought, I'm going to stamp out a whole bunch in my VersaFine and see if I can make it work. Now, the reason I'm using Memento is because it works with alcohol markers. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that. It doesn't smudge. The VersaFine smudges with alcohol markers, but it's so much better and so much clearer. The other thing I found with the Memento is it wouldn't dry. I had to leave it for ages to dry, whereas the VersaFine or the Versamark, whichever it's called, works and it dries a lot quicker. I can heat set it to make it dry quicker, but the Memento just seemed to take forever. So I did all the stamping. I went on this 3-hour, 4-hour walk with my family, came back and it was finally dry. So I did some of both. and you'll see the result. So this is the Versamark or Versafine, and I'm just going ahead and lining up some of my dies, and then I'm going to run it through my Big Shot and cut out all those images. I'm also going to go ahead and cut out 5 of each of these shapes. You can just use whatever you've got in your stash. If you've just got a circle die, use that. If you've got a circle punch, use that. You know, you could cut around a cup, trace around a cup and use that. And you don't need 2 by any means. So I've got this one here, which has got a perforated, what is it called? Stitched die. And I've used that as well. And I was thinking of doing that instead of just the doily one, if I wanted to do a bit more masculine rather than doily, but I like the doily too much, I used it instead. But I'm going to go ahead and use these colors from Arteza. I'm sorry I don't know the actual color names, but I just kind of have a look and see what's going to match my stamp the best. Now I'm using this one on the Versafine ink, and it is smudging, which is why I'm kind of scribbling off to the side there, because it is smearing my black ink when I'm coloring it in, which is really gutting, but I'm working with it anyways because I like how black it is and it looks much better. I started doing the sprinkles and coloring them in and thought you can't really see them, and then remembered I have got my Arteza glitter gel pens. Now these are so similar to like Wink Stella and those kind of pens, where they're mega glittery. You'll see pictures at the very end. You can see how glittery they are. They're not a glitter gel pen. They are like a super glitter gel pen, which is what they're called. And they are amazing. Now here is the problem. I've gone ahead coloring in all these sprinkles, and then I go to pick it up to show you it for the camera and smudge my finger all across the gel. So I had to redo this one, which was so frustrating because I just finished coloring it, went around all the black to try and make sure it didn't smudge, and I just smeared the glitter at the end. So I started on the next one. I was like, right, we're going to carry on. We're going to start on the next one. And I was doing this one, and it just got so frustrating because, again, the black was smearing, and I just felt like it wasn't looking very nice. So I switched back to the Memento. I got the Memento sheet out, started coloring those ones in, and die cut out those ones. So I've got kind of a mix in the end of the ones I've done, but I just thought I had to go back to the Memento. It does smudge a little bit, but nowhere near as much as the Versamark. I gotta really pay attention to what my ink pad's called. I'm sorry. So I go ahead and I color all these in using some kind of colors to do like the macaroon kind of colors. They're usually quite vibrant, fun colors. And I'm just applying 2 shades of each color. I have no skills in the coloring zone at all, but I try and kind of outline it with the darker one, and then you just go over it again with the lighter one and just rub until you kind of blend those colors together and get rid of those harsh lines. They're really easy to work with. Then I went in at the end and added in the glitter pens on all of my images. So I went and colored a whole bunch of them off screen because I didn't want to bore you. But here on the right is the one I smudged, which was really annoying. And on the left is the one I redid. And I let it dry before I touched it. But you can see that glitter there. It is stunning. It really catches the light. It's really cool. So I put some on every single one of them because I couldn't resist. Now I will do my best to link all these products down below for you. And if any of them are sold out, you should be able to click on Arteza as well as on Craft Stash, because these stamps and dies are all from Craft Stash, and the pens are all from Arteza, and you should be able to click notify me when they're back in stock. So if they're out of stock, I apologize, but you should be able to get an email when they are in stock. So here you can see all my glitter pen editions. I love this one. Check out the middle. Woohoo! Love it. So now I've got my circles, my little scallopy circles and my front circles. It's hard to see in the video, but I like the dimension that adding that inner circle adds, but you don't need to. You can just do one level or one layer. It doesn't really matter. I just liked the look of having that dimension and extra kind of bit of character to that background bit. So I'm going ahead and gluing all my little circles onto the scalloped circles, and then I'm going to get prepared to put my card together and bring all of my elements together to make a really cool card. So if you stuck with me this far, thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe, because I've looked at my stats and noticed that actually 57% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, which is crazy. So if you'd like to subscribe, I would love it if you did. It's really awesome. Those are my measurements there for what my card sizes are. Now, this is the middle one, the one that I didn't share with you at the very beginning. This is 3 7/8 of an inch square. And all I'm going to do to make it match my elements is take my pens, the prominent color in each of the images that I did, and I'm just going to color the edges of my square. So I'm going along all the sides, and the nice thing about alcohol ink is it doesn't show lines. You don't get any lines left over when you're scribbling. So you can get quite messy with alcohol inks, or alcohol pens I should say, and you don't see it when it dries. So here's that top layer that I cut in the very beginning, and you just get this beautiful little 1/8 of an inch border around it. And now we've got a matching backing card to go with our top card. Now I have some ribbon as well. And I thought, let's color the ribbon, because I was thinking, how am I going to find ribbon that's going to match all these colors? So I was going through my ribbon stash and saw white and thought, this is alcohol. We can just color it. So alcohol pens are fantastic because you can literally color everything with it. You can color gems, you can color ribbon, you can color your cardstock. It dries quick and fast because obviously it's made with alcohol, so it stinks, but it dries quick. And so that's all I'm doing here is I'm going ahead and coloring the backing layer of each of my cards and then coloring the ribbon to match it. So it's just stitched ribbon. It's plain white ribbon with like a stitch running through the middle. And I'm just going to go ahead and color it and match it to all of my cards and the main colors in my card. So it was really nice and easy to pull these cards together and have everything coordinate. So now you can see I've got my card base. I'm going to go ahead and glue that top panel on, and I like to use liquid glue. It gives me the wiggle room I need to kind of get it just in place. And my cardstock is 350 GSM, so it's nice and thick and substantial. So the first card that I do, I glue the inside together first. Now the rest of them I did that bit the last, because if you watch, my card keeps pinging up because it's so thick on the inside. So I've gone ahead and cut some burlap. That's from AliExpress. I'll do my best to link it down below if I can find it for you. It's just like an 8-strand burlap ribbon, I think. I've got some brown sort of satin ribbon in my stash, and then I've got the pink that I've colored, which used to be white. So I thought the best way to stick this down was probably going to be a glue dot, but then I normally end up getting the glue dot stuck to my finger trying to stick it onto the paper, and I just thought, nah, let's just use some really strong tape. So this is Sukweing tape. It's the same as score tape. It's the brand that makes score tape, and all I'm doing is just laying it onto my card and then sticking the ribbon on top, laying another piece on top of the other ribbon in the direction I kind of want it to go usually, and then peeling off that release paper and sticking the ribbon down and just kind of layering them up that way. Now this first card was the sort of getting my head into the zone, working out what I'm doing. So here I go, sticking on the top little fun bit that we made with liquid glue, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I've really got to push this down because it's got to get over top of 3 layers of ribbon. So you'll see what I do in the next card to kind of fix it. You can't really tell, it's not a big deal, but it is a bit annoying when I'm doing it. Then I realized I didn't put a sentiment on. So I start sticking down the foam pads, and I think, hang on a minute, I need to pause and I need to put a sentiment on. Now this is a tricky bit because obviously I've got to go and stick that sentiment on, but I've got all these bumpy bits behind it. So I'm trying to make sure that my stamp will fit and my topper that I've just made will fit back on there. So I'm trying out a few stamps, and that's the lovely thing about clear photopolymer stamps is you can just see exactly where you're going with them and work out which one you want to use. So in the end, I go with that bottom sentiment there, and I very, very, very carefully go ahead and ink it up and stamp down. So I learned my lesson from this first one, and I make sure to do all the stamping before I assemble it so that we don't get any oopsies and have an unclear stamp. So I was just really lucky with this one that it worked out. Really, really lucky. So there's my finished card. I love how it turns out. I love that all the colors coordinate and they all match. It works fantastic. So here we go. I've thought this one through. I'm going to stamp it before I stick it all together. Ink it up, stick on my stamp. And these are photopolymer stamps, so they're really nice quality, really, really good. They absorb the ink really nicely. And this time I decide that actually I want my prominent color to sort of be the last ribbon to go on top. So I'm sticking my brown down, and then I think I stick my burlap, and I this time arrange the tape to go in the right direction of the ribbon or twine. But it doesn't really matter in the end because you're going to stick that topper on top, which is going to hold it all together. I'm going to stick the pink one going straight across. So I've kind of got an X and then one across the middle. And I just like that look a lot more than the first card. It's silly and little, but I really like how that looks much better than the first time around. And this is where I think, okay, let's compensate for the fact that there's some bulk there. Let's use some foam stickers. And then that way, it'll sit nice and flush on top. It'll mean it's a bit more dimensional, but that doesn't really matter. I'll just use a bigger envelope. So instead of using a 4 1/8 of an inch envelope, I might use 4 1/4 or 4 1/2 to kind of compensate for the extra thickness. Then I go ahead and stick that cake straight on the top and add my layers in after I've done the top. So I hope that you've appreciated that you're going to learn all the hard lessons via me doing them. Oh gosh, some days I just struggle, and today was one of those days where I just felt like everything kept going wrong. I kept having coloring issues, and then I dropped my card in my open ink pad because Sasha didn't close it when she finished stamping. So I sanded it with a sand eraser, I sanded it with a sanding block, and it was still too deep. So I got rid of the most of it, and then I added Nuvo drops. So this one card has got some Nuvo drops on it to account for the fact that I made those smudges. So there's my finished cards, and I'm so happy with them. I did some pencil crayon coloring as well off screen to try and work out if I could save my Versamark ink and use those images, but I got fed up because I couldn't get the ink blending, not the ink blending, the sort of graduated color look and the blended look as nicely as you could with alcohol markers. So I decided to scrap that altogether, and I just used what I had and made do and did the best I could, and I love them. I think they're such a cute set of cards, and I think I might have to give them away as a little bundle to somebody because I love how well they coordinate. And now that I know what I'm doing, I can go in and do a whole bunch more of these images and just have a whole bunch of fun making up these cards. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me tonight. I would love it if you subscribed. I'll be back again at some point next week. I have no idea when because the kids are off on holidays, but I'm going to aim to have another half-an-hour video for you because that series is going really fun. And then I'll have another Saturday night crafting video for you. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment and a thumbs up, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.